country's highest judicial officers have warned against what they called the repeated and unfounded criticism of the judiciary from government.
They want a meeting between Chief Justice Mogoeng and President Jacob Zuma. Tripartite alliance partners have also levelled criticisms against the judiciary. The Bashir judgment, the most recent controversy before the courts.
A full bench, so to speak, from the Chief Justice, his deputy, President of the Supreme Court of Appeal, High Court Judge Presidents and other senior judges. A move not seen since the dawn of democracy, publicly voicing discontent over attacks on the judiciary and an executive failing to comply with court orders.
Everybody, whatever her or his status, is subject to and bound by the Constitution and the law. As a nation, we ignore it at our peril. Also, the rule of law dictates that court orders should be obeyed. Our experience by and large is that court orders have been honored by other arms of state. The few instances of where court orders have not been complied with, whatever the reasons, have the effect of undermining the rule of law.
Last month, High Court Judge Dunstan Mlambo said the South African government clearly violated the court order to ensure Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir did not leave the country. The ruling was criticized by ANC Secretary General Gwede Mantashe, among others. He said the judiciary was interfering with the executive in a judicial overreach of power. At the extraordinary heads of court meeting, a call to escalate the issue.
The heads of court and senior judges of all divisions have requested the Chief Justice as head of the judiciary to meet with the head of state to point out and discuss the dangers of the repeated and unfounded criticism of the judiciary. Criticism of that kind has the potential to delegitimize the courts. Courts serve a public purpose and should not be undermined.
And an assurance that judges will always act without fear or favour.
It's just that moment in our history where it's important to reassure all at large, and the Chief Justice was quite right to refer also to the international community, at our own home ground. We are judges, we take seriously our oath of office, and will continue to act impartially.
The presidency says it's yet to receive a request for a meeting and cannot respond. Nozintombi Mia, SABC News, Kempton Park.
Just say that we have had an extraordinary heads of courts meeting, which included the deputies and other senior judges from almost all courts. The only heads of courts we do not have here are Judge President Dennis Davis, who is abroad, as well as Acting Judge President Mier of the Land Claims Court. I read the statement. A judge's principal article of faith is to adjudicate without fear, favor, or prejudice. When each judge assumes office, she or he takes an oath or affirmation in the following terms: to be faithful to the Republic of South Africa, to uphold and protect the Constitution and the human rights entrenched in it, to administer justice to all persons alike without fear, favor, or prejudice, and in accordance with the Constitution and the law. To judges, this obligation and the oath are sacred. Our Constitution, like others of its kind, sets out the powers of each arm of state. No arm of state is entitled to intrude upon the domain of the other. However, the Constitution requires the judiciary ultimately to determine the limits and regulate the exercise of public power. Judges, like others, should be susceptible to constructive criticism. However, in this regard, the criticism should be fair and in good faith. Importantly, the criticism should be specific and clear. General, gratuitous criticism is unacceptable. In the adjudication process, judges do not act as a collective with a collective mindset. Each judge is informed by constitutional values, her or his conscience, and brings to bear an individual judgment. Of course, judges, like other mortals, err. There are several levels of courts that serve as a corrective purpose, that serve a corrective purpose when judges make a mistake. That explains why the Constitution provides for an appeal mechanism. Moreover, judgments are often subjected to intensive peer and academic scrutiny and criticism. There have been suggestions that in certain cases judges have been prompted by others to arrive at a predetermined result. This is a notion that we reject. However, in a case in which a judge does overstep, the general public, litigants, or other aggrieved or interested parties should refer the matter to the Judicial Conduct Committee of the Judicial Service Commission. The rule of law is the cornerstone of our constitutional democracy. In simple terms, it means everybody, whatever her or his status, is subject to and bound by the Constitution and the law. As a nation, we ignore it at our peril. Also, the rule of law dictates that court orders should be obeyed. Our experience, by and large, is that court orders have been honored by other arms of state. The few instances of where court orders have not been complied with, whatever the reasons, have the effect of undermining the rule of law. The heads of court and senior judges of all divisions have requested the Chief Justice as head of the judiciary to meet with the head of state to point out and discuss the dangers of the repeated and unfounded criticism of the judiciary. Criticism of that kind has the potential to delegitimize the courts. Courts serve a public purpose and should not be undermined. That is the end of the statement. It will be made available to the public and the media. Nati, I think, will facilitate.
Yesterday we saw the body of judges in our country responding to what they perceived as negative criticism against the judiciary. And they have now called for a meeting with the president. And we welcome this meeting with the judges. We welcome it because we are involved in a process of building a capable state. And where there's criticism, people need to get together and meet and discuss that. Yes, at that meeting, we will be able to discuss quite openly and robustly with the judiciary some of the things that ordinary people on the ground perceive as being negative. And we represent the people. What we will be laying to the judges without attacking the independence of the judiciary is the feelings, the views, the collective views of ordinary people on the ground, because we are elected to represent those views. And we would like them to have an understanding of that as well. And at the same time, we will pay heed to what they have to say as judges, as independent judges who need to be respected because of the role that they play in society. So there is no constitutional crisis. Those who say there's a constitutional crisis have it in their heads. There is no constitutional crisis in the Republic of South Africa. What exists is a robust discussion and engagement that we want to have with the judges. So I will say to Chief Justice Mogoeng, Chief Justice, we welcome your call to meet the President, to meet the executive, so that we can have a thoroughgoing, robust discussion about your role going forward as well. And by saying role going forward, the independence of the judiciary is something that the African National Congress will defend at all costs. That we will defend because that was one of the principles that we enshrined in our Constitution. This Constitution was in the main drafted on the principles that came from our people as led by the African National Congress.